All right, friends, it's Timon, and I'm gonna do a reaction video to our good friend here, Pygmy. I've seen this video earlier today, and I just didn't have a chance to do a video on it, but I do now, and I'm going to make a reaction video to this guy Pygmy's video, bro. So Pygmy says, how to increase muscle density, make muscles actually feel hard. I already know how to do it. Eccentric exercise is what creates harder, denser muscles, okay?
What's up, Home Slice? Lucas here. So, true story scenario, see if you can relate. Say you're coming back from college, junior year. You've been working out for several years. You've been getting bigger, stronger. Things are looking good. All right, your nutrition is on point, your training is on point.
I know. This is actually true, man. I once, pushed somebody one time and they were really squishy. It was really weird.
And you're just looking like an absolute unit, right? You get home and you see your Auntie K, we'll call her. Your Auntie K you haven't seen in a while. And she's like, oh my gosh, Johnny. Bob, have you seen Johnny? He's looking so big. He's looking so muscular. And you're just like, yeah, I've been working out a little bit. And she's like, oh my goodness, you have so many muscles like those muscle guys in the muscle magazines. And then she goes up to you and she grabs your arm. And she's like, oh, it's so squishy. And you just freeze.
Yeah.
And your whole world melts before your eyes. Scenarios like this have led me to explore how to increase muscle density. And after years of experimentation and trying different things, I actually think I'm really onto something now, and I'm gonna share that with you. But a few things. First of all, I'm actually talking about muscle density as in feel, how it actually feels when you grab it, touch it, or tap it, I guess. I'm not talking about looking muscularly dense. I'm talking about the actual feel. And in my opinion, that's more of what I've always wanted to achieve rather than the look. I think the look would be cool too, but I think they go hand in hand, but I don't always think the look is going to equal a dense feel. Like, you could look really dense, but feel pretty squishy. Now, before I get into the type of training where I found like an actual physical feeling of increased muscular density, I want to first talk about the science behind muscle hypertrophy and
for 60 years, Nissan has been
behind muscle hypertrophy and potentially muscle density based on all this like research and different opinions and scientists I look into who've studied and compiled studies and blah, blah, blah. So looking into muscular hypertrophy, there's the two basic ways muscle grows. There's myofibrillar hypertrophy, and then there's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So
Yes, myofibrillar hypertrophy and sarcoplasmic. Man, this is hard for people to grasp that concept.
Fibular hypertrophy is where the number of contractile proteins grow, but the sarcoplasmic space also grows as well. So they grow at basically an
it does a little bit. Yeah, okay.
even rate, increasing muscular size. Now, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is where the fluid space, or the sarcoplasm, grows at a faster rate than the contractile proteins. So those are the two basic ways muscles increase in size, but
and then there's myofibrillar packing. Yes, okay.
this third option called myofibrillar packing. That is where the contractile proteins grow at a faster rate than the sarcoplasm. Now, when you
that's why you have one. It grows. The sarcoplasm grows faster than the muscle. It's all sarcoplasmic, and then you get myofibrillar packing, where the myofibrillars grow more than the sarcoplasm. Yeah.
think about the contractile proteins growing faster than the fluid region, the sarcoplasm.
Okay, so how do you do that? It's really simple, man. If you're eating complex carbohydrates, that sarcoplasm is it's still gonna expand too. Relative. But really, in myofibrillar packing, you want to eat animal. That's why I say switch over to animal protein. At some point, you want to stop eating complex carbohydrates. You want to switch over to animal fat and high protein diet. So you want to be anabolic. You want to be protein synthesis needs to exceed the rate of breakdown. That's all. The entire time while you're building muscle. And you're lifting eccentrically. That's all. You're lifting eccentrically. Just damage your muscles eccentrically, and you're gonna get myofibrillar packing, being on like high animal fat and protein. Yeah. instead of complex carbohydrate like the other option, myofibular hypertrophy.
You would think.
But I mean, you can still call this myofibular. It's myofibular hypertrophy. It's hypertrophying. The myofibulars are hypertrophying. Hypertrophying. The word packing just means that the fluid, there's less fluid, but more muscle. Yeah.
This would cause a harder muscle, a more dense feeling muscle. Whereas maybe too much sarcoplasmic hypertrophy would lead to those soft, squishy muscles that I was experiencing. Based on my interpretation of the science, to optimize training for more myofibular packing and hopefully a more dense feeling muscle, well, what it looks like is using more moderate to heavy weights, but training at a lower to moderate volume, but also training at a moderate frequency during the week. So not just like one time a week.
He's wrong. To get myofibular packing, you can only train once a week. And then you need your muscle to go through a repair and a remodeling. And so if you want the packing part, eat high animal fat, high animal protein. Make sure that protein synthesis exceeds that rate of protein breakdown, that you're in something called anabolism. You're anabolic the whole time. So you're going to suppress these hormones. And you may even convert to you may convert some of these so-called catabolic hormones to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the androgen receptor. But regardless, when it suppresses these catabolic hormones, your anabolic hormones go higher, and so they're not competing with the androgen receptor anymore. Get it?
Maybe even not just 2 times, maybe like 3 times. Now, my experience in achieving more dense muscles, did it match up to this theoretical model we have here for increasing myofibular packing, yada, yada, yada? Well, actually, kind of yes, when I felt like I finally got it right. Let me explain.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, where I went wrong.
Yes, please explain. I'd love to know.
See, I used to think back in the day, in order to increase muscular density, like the feeling of the muscles and even how they look, but really the feeling, I needed to lift very heavy weights. Well, partially right.
That's wrong. Well, yeah, partially right. You need to lift heavy, but eccentrically, yeah.
The only thing I was doing wrong is my volume and frequency were very low. I mean, like once a week at most for these heavy lifts. So I would lift very heavy
That's not what's going to make them dense. What's going to make the muscles dense is when protein synthesis exceeds that breakdown. You damage them once, you micro damage these muscles once, and what's going to make them very dense is based on how much you eat. Now, as much as you eat, that's how dense they're going to get. If you don't eat, then they're not going to get dense. It's really simple. No eating, no density. Eating, you're going to get density.
time a week, sometimes every other week even for certain lifts, and then I would do other exercises and other stuff on the outside, and it was all just
but exercises, they don't build muscles, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Lifting a weight doesn't build muscles.
Well, it was more like acrobatic training. But yeah, I remember wanting to have denser muscles, so I lifted extremely heavy, but I had the frequency very low.
Let me get this straight. He wanted denser muscles, so he lifted extremely heavy, but he didn't eat extremely heavy. He just lifted extremely heavy. Well, how the fuck can they get dense by lifting a heavy weight? If you're not fucking eating, you're not exceeding that rate of breakdown. Duh. Remember, proteins are breaking down. This is a window for protein breakdown when you lift weights.
And I had the volume very low too. And I noticed a lot of the muscles in the areas that I was training like that, kind of squishy, all right? I mean, just not the density I thought.
Yeah, not the density you thought you were going to get. Want to know why? Because you ate slave food diet, carbohydrates, and you didn't exceed that breakdown in protein synthesis. And anyways, you didn't really get a relative amount of damage there. You probably adapted to lifting that heavy weight. It was all based on motor unit recruitment and not recruiting these micro tears. You weren't recruiting micro tears. You were recruiting motor units lifting a heavy weight. Duh. See what I mean? In these androgen receptors for force production. So that defeats the purpose
I was going to achieve. Then also over the years, I played with different styles of training. I kind of went to a bodybuilding-like split where I was doing 3 working sets of 8.
Yeah, that's where people make the biggest mistake, the so-called bodybuilding splits. They don't work.
12 reps for a specific exercise. But I was only training that muscle group again once or twice a week if I was lucky. So in this instance, 8 to 12 reps, the weight was more moderately heavy, and I was training with more volume than like...
You're training them to do what exactly? What are you training them to do exactly?
1 to 3 reps, right? 3 working sets of 8 to 12 is more volume. But my frequency for training that muscle group was still.
What about all this volume training, this and that? Why don't you just fucking damage them and then grow them? Damage them and just go somewhere and fucking grow them. See what you understand? These people, they have to come up with all this cliche shit about volume, something heavyweight bullshit. Just damage the stupid thing and go and grow them somewhere. Go to a restaurant somewhere and eat a lot.
On the lower side of things, and I noticed throughout this phase,
Dude, this isn't rocket science.
felt like I was getting bigger muscles, but they really felt squishy. Like they really felt.
You thought you were getting bigger muscles because you can't stop eating the slave food peasant diet, carbohydrates all day. Like everybody, like Blaha says, you're eating 80% carbs, 30% meat or whatever, 20% meats, 80% carbs. What a waste. Wow. And you're adapted. Ugh. You're adapted to these exercises, lifting the so-called weight, volume. And anyways, this so-called volume, it's associated with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, whatever.
Squishy this time. It's like, this is like.
Look, I can prove it, man. Watch this. See this? Even AI overview will tell you eccentric exercise focusing on the lowering of lengthening phase of movement are beneficial for what? Promoting myofibrillar packing, which is an increase in the density and volume of contractile proteins. It is, but it will only do that if protein synthesis exceeds the rate of breakdown, and you need to eat animal fat as an energy source and not carbohydrates. This type of training, when combined with heavy lifting, eccentrically, and progressive overload, you progressively overload over time, eccentric exercise, can lead to increased muscle strength and power. Of course it can, because you're going to build myofibrillars, so it'll give you strength and power over time, Here's the breakdown of it. Muscle damage and repair. Eccentric contractions due to higher force production compared to concentric contractions can cause microscopic damage to muscle fibers, including the myofibrils. This damage triggers a repair response where the body overcompensates by increasing the volume and density of the myofibrillars. Time under tension, eccentric exercises. Well, you can do that. You can perform them slowly or fast. It's really all relative. It's up to you. I don't know. So you can, though the further stimulating muscle protein synthesis and contribute to myofibrillar packing. You're stimulating protein synthesis, but in order you're stimulating, but you need protein. But you need protein to synthesize. Get it? You've stimulated protein synthesis, a window. It's like, hello, I'm open, but guess what? You're not synthesizing any protein because nothing is coming in, only 32 grams. 32 grams or 1 gram per body weight is not enough. Get it, dude? So heavy lifting and progressive overload to effectively promote myofibrillar hypertrophy. Well, eccentric training should be incorporated with heavy weightlifting and progressive overload. Increasing whatever over time. Deadlifts, these are all eccentric exercise. Deadlift, squats, bench press, bicep curls, leg extensions, whatever. You get the idea. Importance of proper form, Potential risk, further considerations, yes, okay. It's whatever, bro. It's a way to man, it's a way to build myofibrillars, whatever.
This is like Auntie K coming in being like,
Are you worried that using your home...
This is like Auntie K coming in being like, oh, he's a sponge. So over the last several months, I've been really thinking about this whole muscle density thing, and I've been reflecting and analyzing some of my training and how I've changed it up in the past here and there, and playing around with some new stuff. Recently, I've realized that, I kind of stumbled across this formula by accident and noticed with some of
this formula, how to optimize more myofibrillar packing, moderate heavy weights, low moderate volume, moderate weekly frequency. Without protein exceeding the rate of protein breakdown, none of that's gonna work, dude. Get it?
the stuff I've been doing, like ding, 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 muscles are feeling denser. Okay, so what has actually specifically worked
They
for...
may get denser, but they'll be small because protein synthesis is not exceeding that breakdown. See what I mean? So now you're just kind of remodeling it a certain way, but you'll be small and tiny. But hey, they'll be denser because you'll remove the sarcoplasmic. Yeah, the sarcoplasm, you'll shrink it.
Me now that I've noticed an increase in muscle density feeling to the muscles.
Yeah, feeling, that's what you increased. You only increased the feeling in there, but you never increased the size. Get it?
For me, recently, I've been kind of on a calisthenics kick where I've been doing push-ups, pull-ups, etc. But I've noticed doing push-ups about 25 to
That's nice. Have you ever seen him ever build any muscle? Because look at him. He's always doing these things for building muscle, but he's never built any muscle.
35 reps a set, doing them 4 to 5 sets.
All
But
of the things that he's done on his channel are just a waste of time. The looks maxing, the chin maxing, the this maxing, the neck maxing, doing this for his muscles, that for his muscles, but he's never changed. There's nothing going on here. So what exactly is going on here? Entertainment. He's entertaining you with these things, these fake things. They're not tangible. There's nothing there because look at him.
3 times a week, personally for me, has felt like it has increased muscular density on my chest, shoulders, and even
It has, for what reason? Well, how does it do that exactly? Without food.
triceps. Now, using this as an example has been kind of interesting to me because when I look at the model we came up with based off of the studies and the science, heavy weights versus a push-up, like you wouldn't really think a push-up of being like a very heavy weight per se. And also I'm doing 25 to 35 reps a set. That's not exactly low volume, or could it be in a certain way? Because there is one thing that has changed here that is different than the other times in the past where I've been using weights to try to increase muscle density, and that is the frequency per week. I'm doing these push-ups.
You use the weights to increase density? I use the buffet to increase density. I use the buffet. He uses weights, okay.
3 times a week, basically Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I've noticed.
See, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to go work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And me, I'm going to go to the buffet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Get it, dude? And build. These people are retarded.
Doing this feels like it's increased the density in this region.
I do this. It feels like I have increased the density in the region. And yeah, you've kind of remodeled that area. You've kind of shifted the area. See what I mean? The density. Well, here's what happens. So yeah, if they align in parallel, it will get denser in parallel, definitely. Well, regardless, whether you get in series or in parallel these sarcomeres, that will increase the density of your muscles, the myofibulars. Yeah, that you increase. Okay, but here's the thing. What if you're just aligning them? You're just having them aligned. More of it is aligning in parallel. So you're losing the ones in series and they're regressing and lining up in parallel. See what I mean? It's associated with a loss in series, but you may get an increase in parallel because that increase is coming from the ones that you already have, the series. But guess what? You'll always be weak in the long range of motion. You'll suck. If you try to throw a baseball or if you try to sprint or something, or if you try to lower weight or something, you may get injured because all injuries happen in where? The eccentric, not concentric, because it's dangerous down there. And the difficulty is high, especially when it comes to squats. If you eccentrically squat and you can go back up with 500, wow, that is a feat of strength, dude.
So, in my instance, maybe where I was really going wrong with density specific training, feeling of density specific training, was I wasn't having enough frequency, or I was just training too hard to where I couldn't have enough frequency, like too intensely or too much volume during my exercise routine, where I wouldn't have the energy or the recovery to train frequently. But in my case now, when I get done with 100 push-ups in a workout session, I'm not exactly like completely fried for the rest of the week, right? 48 hours from then, I'm feeling pretty much recovered, and I can knock out another 100. Okay. And that's what I've been doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 100 push-ups, 100.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, me, I'm going down to the buffet Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Get it? And in between, I'm still eating. Get it, man? Because I'm building myofibrillar packing. Him, He's exercising so he can break down proteins so that there's protein synthesis. And then when the body's synthesizing, he feeds it carbohydrate. Lots of carbohydrate, only 20% protein. So he's never meeting that demand because there's more breaking down because he keeps coming 3 days, 4 days a week to the gym, 4 days a week. When meanwhile, I only went once and broke down my body, and then I went and grew it the rest of the week while he keeps breaking down proteins, which is counterintuitive. It does the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. You keep breaking down and you never catch up with the building up. And then you go back and break it down again, try to build it up, break it down, build it up. That doesn't do shit, bro. Get it? That doesn't do jack. See what I mean? You're just restoring what you lost there. You're adapted. You're just restoring what you lost. You're not building myofibularis.
Push-ups, 100 push-ups, or 100, 125, and then 100 again, or something like that. But in my case, recently, it seems to be more of that frequency that's leading me to have more denser feeling.
That frequency. Look how small he is. He's so skinny. He's a small, skinny dude. Look.
Muscles, while also noticing I'm having muscular hypertrophy as well. I feel like my chest has gotten bigger.
He's not building anything. What got bigger? You got nothing. Man, this is some kind of joke. This video is a joke.
My shoulders have gotten bigger. Like everything has gotten bigger. Like it's not just like I'm just getting denser.
You look like the average guy walking down an average kid walking down the street pedaling his bike or whatever. Give me a break.
But I'm feeling like I'm getting all the benefits. So now you might be scratching your head. You might be thinking you're lifting
What benefits?
light. You're lifting a lot of volume, as in like a lot of reps. But you're lifting more frequently, and the only thing that's lining up with this model is the more frequency. But when I really thought about it more, doing 25 push-ups and doing them with a good controlled form, well, it can get pretty intense towards the end and get pretty difficult. I'm not just like doing that or anything like that. I'm like full solid push-up reps. And then with these full reps, I've been doing my push-ups at a decent pace, sometimes starting with explosive push-ups, doing, a few different variations, but all relatively the same in regards of form and timing of each push-up, right? I'm not doing a super long push-up. I'm not doing a super short. It's a decent pace push-up. So in my opinion, I am actually making the push-ups more intense, emulating a more moderate to heavy weight, but I'm also doing my push-ups at a pace that, even though I'm doing a decent amount of reps, like over 100 reps, you might consider that high volume for an exercise. The amount of time that I complete.
Yeah, you're adapted, right, to these exercises. You gain some hypoxia damage there. Okay, hypoxia, yeah.
Each set, in my opinion, it would actually be more of a moderate volume of push-ups. And then I have been increasing the frequency to 3 times a week. More of this moderate frequency, which to me,
So moderate frequency 3 times a week, because he thinks the more he lifts, the more there's a window for protein synthesis. There is protein synthesis, yeah. So why do you need to come in 3 days a week? Because he in his mind, he thinks the weights are synthesizing protein. The weights he lifted are synthesizing. Well, your body does the synthesizing, not weights. But he's synthesizing protein. But guess what? There's also a window for what? Protein breakdown. So what is he doing? Protein turnover. He's just putting back what he lost. Get it? Because he's going to break him down again on Wednesday. And then after he does that, he's going to come back on Friday, he said, and break him down again.
frequency seems to be the key that I was missing in the past.
So 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. Okay.
Everything else I was doing in achieving more dense muscles. Now, I'm not just training
Right, sure you were, yes.
push-ups, I'm training other exercises, but in regards to density, in my opinion,
course.
following this model and kind of how I'm looking at this model based on my own experience is leading to more muscular density. But there is one more thing I've noticed recently, like regarding some isolation exercises, that it feels like doing them in a certain way.
Sure.
has helped increase the density over time, and that is applying this aggressive squeeze to each and every rep. So for instance, like a bicep
Oh my God, here we go. Squeezing the muscles at the top.
curl, rather than just like curling it and trying to get almost like a pump, you're squeezing, like you're almost flexing at the top, flexing your muscle up and at the top and really flexing it at the top and doing that each and every rep.
Why not do it in the bottom where it counts? Why at the top?
And I feel like training like that for specific isolation exercises as well has also led to what feels like more dense muscles. Once again, doing them at more frequently throughout the week, maybe like 2 to 3 times if I
So I can stay really small like you? 2, 3 times, 4 times a week?
can. Now I do have one more idea, one more theory I want to
Keep high volume, do like 3, 4 times a week in your home, okay, or whatever.
test out later when I get the chance, when my back heals up fully and I'm able to lift hopefully very heavy again. But my
So his back is busted too, just like the other guy. Matt does fitness. He's got the broken arm and Achilles heel. He had operation, got sick. So he's got a back problem. It's still healing. See, this is exercise for you. It's really healthy, yeah?
idea is going like this. I'm thinking, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm
Yes.
thinking
Yes.
maybe also if I try to lift more like 1 to 3 rep range, but do more sets, do like 10 sets of that, right? And I might have to bump the weight down because I'll get fatigued over those 10 sets. But
Why not just keep the sets even with the reps? How about that? Keep it simple.
towards the end of those 1 to 3 reps, you know, basically go into like 95% failure, but over the course of 10 sets and do that maybe 2, maybe 3 times a week. I don't know if that might be too much. So yeah, in summary, it seems like I was
love it. I don't know if that's too. That might be too much. Yeah, breaking down proteins would be too much. You're not building. You're just breaking. You're not building. When are you building? You're just breaking. Man, none of this makes sense, man. Let's go for 4 times, 5 times, 6 times a week and break muscles, so we can absolutely never grow.
lacking the consistent frequency on
Yes, let me make it harder on myself by coming in more frequent to the gym, breaking down proteins. You understand me? So that I could try to build my body, but I'm breaking it down a lot faster than building. Oh, yeah, great. Yeah. That's, yeah. That's the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. Hello. You're trying to build these myofibulars. They take long to build. So you can only break them down once. And then the rest of the time you need to focus on building them. Shit. Just like your car, just like a fucking house. You can break it once with a wrecking ball, but it takes weeks to build it up. Anyways, I don't know, man. This is just ridiculous. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel.
same muscle group for the more dense muscles. Let me know if you have any experience or knowledge in this department. Let me know your opinions. Thank you all so much for watching.
My opinion is you lift eccentrically like I just showed in that thing from AI Overview. Lift eccentrically, that's all. Overload eccentrically. Eccentric overload exercise training. That's it. That's it. Do it once a week. And then you got a window now for protein synthesis. Blood levels have been elevated. Protein synthesis has been extended during that entire week during the repair and the remodeling. So all you have to do is feed the beast. That's it. It's really simple. But if you keep coming in to try to open a window for protein synthesis, there is a window for protein breakdown. So you are wasting your time. Get it? See, look, I'm going to repeat this one more goddamn time. You break your muscles once. There's a window for protein synthesis, but it's been extended for the entire week during the repair and the remodeling. So after your workout, you want to exceed that rate of breakdown by being anabolic, by eating a lot of protein. And then the rest of the week, that's the same thing you want to do because you're still extended for that entire week during the remodeling. So you're trying to build these myofibulars. So you need to be anabolic. You need to protein synthesis to exceed that rate of breakdown. But if you come in 3 days a week, you're working out to do what? I'm working out to open a window for protein synthesis? Okay, there's a window for protein breakdown. Now you need to eat a shit lot more. Get it? A lot more every time you break down your body, every time you go to the gym. And then you skip a day, right? You say, well, I'm going to rest day and then I'll come back on Wednesday. And then you'll repeat the same thing all over again. No wonder why nobody's building fuck all in the gym. Get it? Because muscles, they don't build in the gym. Broski, they build down in the buffet. Get it, man? Christ. I'll see you in the next one. This is what everything is wrong with the fitness industry is retarded. Dumb. Weights don't build muscles. Food does. Fuck off. See you in the next one. Ciao, friends.